Hello my lovelies, and thank you for stopping by the circle today. I am super mega excited because this video today is the first in my new segment, which is the character dives, the character studies, where I take yours and my favorite characters from all over the whatevers and rip them down to the basic foundational core to understand what makes them them. Alright, so let's get started. So for our inaugural video, I decided to do Demona from Disney's Gargoyles, which is probably one of the first shows that I kind of remember being obsessed with as a child. It was that and SWAT Cats. And I'm really kind of aging myself at this point, but whatever, I digress. I love Demona. She was probably my first villain love. So anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about it just a little bit. Those of you who are younger or may not know, Disney's Gargoyle was a show that kind of came out in the late 90s, I do believe. And honestly, it was way ahead of its time and an effing masterpiece. And while there were 3 or 4 seasons, I know the last one was kind of woohoo crazy, but still, I digress. I love every minute of it. I absolutely love it. We have Gothic style storytelling mixed with Shakespeare and just magic, and oh my god, is it so good. So, basic premise. Gargoyles are creatures who by day look like stone, the typical gargoyles that we're used to seeing on top of like clock towers and castles and yada 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 yada. But at night, they come alive in roaring fashion to eat, drink, and make merry, and just generally live a normal life. Now the gargoyles that we follow along in this show were tied to a castle in Scotland like in 1998, and I actually think that's now when this show started. It was in the late 90s, good lord. Anyways, so they're tied to a Scottish castle that is being bombarded by, I think, Vikings, if I do remember correctly. Anyways, long of the short, the gargoyles get betrayed. The group that is centered around the story that we follow gets turned to stone until the castle rises above the clouds, and they do. And as of course it is in modern day New York in 1998. We see the Twin Towers. That's how you know something is old. And we are just introduced to their lives as they try to adapt to a modern setting and deal with just the general fuckery that comes along with the craziness that is in this show. Now, Demona was one of the original gargoyles who was the love interest of Goliath. And she is just honestly badass looking in all actuality. Like, I loved her. I loved her. I didn't know if I wanted to be her or just what. I loved her so much. So much. But she kind of goes through a fucking journey and a lot of crazy things throughout the course of the show, both in what we see with the gargoyles that we do travel along with and in her backstory. So let's break her down to her archetype. Now, if you don't know what an archetype is, I highly recommend that you check out my video for it up here. It's where I break down what an archetype is and the different types of archetypes that there are, and sort of like what we can see from those types of characters when they're created in that sort of viewpoint. Now, the interesting thing about archetypes is they can be good and negative. So you can, and Demona is like the epitome of this, because she is what I would definitely call the lover archetype. Because she starts out as, like I said before, Goliath's lover, his second in command, and she loves her people. Everything that she does throughout the course of the show, for the most part, is because she loves her people. And she wants them to be treated with dignity and respect, and to be valued for what they are and what they do. Now, in the pre-stages of the show, back in 1998, that's weird to say, she knows that the clan in the castle do not respect the gargoyles. They view them as beasts, they only tolerate them, and they're constantly talking mad shit about them. Even though the gargoyles are the ones who help bolster their fucking defenses, and on more than one occasion have kept the Vikings out of the castle. And honestly, I feel like her anger at the humans is, at this point in time, that point in time, well placed. Like, I would be pissed off in that situation too. So she makes a decision to do something that would remove the humans so that her people can be free and live in dignity and what have you. That, however, turns to be misguided, and it ends up to be the destruction of her entire clan. And so she takes that love that she had for her people and turns that love into a poison. She becomes a creature of vengeance to right the wrong, to heal her broken heart, because she believes that if she can get vengeance on humans, that will somehow make everything better and just heal this hole that she has created for herself. So let's go ahead and look at some other character traits that Demona has. Now, any decent character will have a mixture of positive and negative traits. If not, they are one-dimensional and flat, and you really need to go back and reevaluate them. Because real humans and real people or entities, living things, are not one-dimensional. We are complex little organisms that just kind of go all over the place and are pretty much are chaotic neutrals for the most part. So with Demona, looking at her actions throughout the course of the show, especially in the beginning stages before she kind of goes off on this crazy denial spiral thing, she's highly ambitious. She learns magic from the Magus. She starts to develop sort of her own sense of intrigue and inner workings to try to navigate the mortal world. She actually understands them better than Goliath does, even at the beginning of the show. In the early stages, she is loving and protective and proud. And she is proud of being a gargoyle. She's proud of her people. She loves them with every fiber of her being, and she will protect them as much as she can, but when she's a cause of their destruction, she can't face that. And so she runs away and she denies it. This causes her to become cynical much later on in the show. More than one time, she mocks Goliath for his naivete view of the humans and how he can still seem to find good in them. She also becomes highly manipulative because that's how she's learned to survive. Because she is cunning and intelligent, and she will do whatever the fuck it takes to continue going. But she takes that manipulation and she turns it onto the very last people that she really should, the last remnants of her clan, of what her good side used to be. She manipulates Brooklyn and Lexington and even Goliath himself. And in all honesty, like, she is very self-destructive in the later sections of the show. She even makes a deal with a magical creature to end up giving up some of her gargoyle-ness for some type of advantage. And in all honesty, only thing that she does while she fights against the other gargoyles does nothing more than pushes them away and further reinforces her thing of, I am always alone. Now, while the show only ran for about 3 or 4 seasons, and I really can't remember that at this point, we do see a brief moment where Demona might actually have come to terms with everything that she's done and the fact that all the suffering that she's been through for thousands of years has been because of her own actions. However, because the show never continued on past that point, it was dropped, we don't get to see it. And I don't know if she ever got a redemption style arc in the comics that continued on afterwards. And if you know, please drop a comment down and let me know, because I have been debating whether or not I actually want to read the Gargoyle comics, but I have so much on my plate already, I don't know if it's worth it. So that's all that I have for my first character dive. I promise you guys it'll probably get a little bit smoother as I go along with it. I'm trying to figure out like how I want to break everything off still, but this is basically what it'll run in a nutshell. So, while I do have a list of characters that I am going to work through, I am always open for your suggestions. If you have a character that you want me to go into, I don't care if it's from a book, a comic, a manga, a video game, a TV show. Did I say movie? well, a movie or just whatever have you. I don't even care if it's a webcomic. I will attempt to go through and do the same thing. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and pop off because I'm exhausted. School is really kicking my ass, getting these kids back into the whole rotation of everything. So I will see you all later, and bye.